I am Wee Tran, known as the Language Chef. I am your ESL coach here from Yanagawa, Japan. I'm on my commute drive home from high school, and this is just kind of a test podcast here. See if this just can be done. I'm a little bored, but a little bit of my credentials. I was a junior high school teacher in Los Angeles for about 7 years, and then I did some of my own private tutoring from elementary school, junior high school, and university level students in English speaking, conversation, the writing process, math, all over the place. Basically, I'm a teacher. I love sharing ideas with people. I love people gaining new skills. I love to watch people grow and become independent, and I just love learning, and sparking the fire to learn with other people. And I love young people. I've been around young people pretty much the last 20 years of my professional educational career, and they keep me young, so that's why I do it. Anyway, the last 7.5 years or so, I've been teaching English in Japan, and teaching is in quotes, in the sense I've been technically an ALT, assistant language teacher, where I defer my knowledge and skills to the head Japanese teacher of English, who is the teacher who actually does most of the leading in the classroom. And I did that for 6 years. 3 years, that was when I first came out, was with a private dispatch company. That'll be another podcast there about dispatch companies. But those are basically, you could say that they're middlemen that sponsor non-Japanese to come and teach English or assistant language, teach English in Japan. And then 3 years of that, I kind of made a name for myself. I had a very good reputation with the students and the teachers at my school in this small town, doing innovative things, and really learning how to adapt and American style of education and methodologies to Japanese style. And the thing that about the Japanese style of education for the majority right now is that it's teacher-centered. I mean, that was one of the things that really, I guess, educationally, culturally shocked me, was how teacher-centered it was. Very lecture-based style. The kind of system really that you see dominate in the college or university level, the style. But this is going on in junior high school, and culturally, like, students are taught to be quiet, be passive, not talk, and just receive the information. I guess the tabula rasa theory of education, school of education. And but little by little, I introduced a little bit more student-centered activities, a little bit more critical thinking, computers, things that to me weren't, I wouldn't say considered innovative or high tech, because I did them back in the U.S. But for Japan, it was. I mean, that was another big shock, was how low tech the schools were when it came to the very limited use of computers and the limited amount of computer literacy among not just the students, but more the themselves. So anyway, that's that. Then anyway, so 3 years of that, and then I was approached by members in the BOE. I got direct hired, which was kind of a big deal because it cuts out the middleman. You get more pay. You get benefits. You have a lot more security. So I did that, and then I would train teachers and other ALTs in seminars on how to implement these innovative techniques. And sometimes the Japanese teachers of English, they would get it. Sometimes they wouldn't. Most didn't. And so it would end up, basically they just go back and do their own, the usual lecture and rote memorization and flashcards and listen and repeat and on and on and on. And, I kind of got frustrated with that even though it's rare, and I had a great reputation, a great relationship with lots of teachers and in schools and stuff, it was just, I felt like I'd hit a professional wall that, things weren't anymore like a teaching challenge, but they were more a, you could say, office bureaucracy challenge that, I just wasn't, I wasn't willing to continue anymore. So I went off and started my own private school, very small, with my wife. And it was a big leap. Barely made enough money. I mean, we were really struggling that first year because of just initial costs and not enough students, and also trying to educate parents into American-style group-centered, critical thinking, problem-solving, non-traditional, just rote memorization type of classroom environment. I mean, they just didn't get it, And I don't blame them for not getting it, because it's like, they're products of their own education system. This is the way they learn. This is the way that parents learned. I mean, not just English education, but their whole education system hasn't really changed dramatically in the last 50, 60 years and everything. I mean, like some of the key things as I was learning about their whole education system, not anything having to do with English, but that shocked me. I mean, this wasn't until a couple of years later when I started asking other Japanese friends and colleagues about their own experiences and stuff. But I was really shocked that literature, reading books, novels, even Japanese literature or novels, is not part of the curriculum. Most of the curriculum here is textbooks. So you memorize these textbooks, you do the workbooks, and that is learning. Because it's a test-based education systems. You get rewarded, for career success, for going to the best school, and on from your test scores. So it's been teaching by the test here, or standardized testing, on steroids for a long time. I mean, colleagues in the U.S. that are critical of like Common Core and how much standardized testing is increasing in the U.S. and it's still nothing compared to what they do here in Japan and even more so in Korea. I mean, you think about like when it comes to, it seems like in Korea it's even on a whole nother level. So anyway, so now I got my own classroom and we're doing okay. We're slowly getting the right, right students, the right parents, and educating them, and love the environment, and they're able to critically think and problem solve and learn phonics and have real authentic fluency. Not just as I put it, it's like, all English is taught here is for accuracy. Is it spelled right? Is it the right, is it grammar point? Do you have the right one answer? It's not about expression. And this goes back to my point about them not reading novels. In the U.S., we have, depending on what classroom you're in and level, but there is certain literature that you read about, and then you not only do you read, but then you discuss ideas, opinions, criticisms about the literature. And again, that's another, I think, cultural thing, or educationally cultural thing. Process of discourse, that process of opinions and expression that you get, and ideas that you get from reading those books. Whereas here they don't have it. It's all textbooks. So everything is like, information based. So, even in their own native language of Japanese, educational culture of thinking about and freely exchanging ideas about characters, about themes, that kind of thing. So I mean, that carries over into English language in the sense that it's like, well, they don't even practice discussing ideas in their own language in a group class. How do we expect them to authentically express themselves in a foreign language? I mean, I'll say that over and over again with teachers. Like, a lot of these skills that you're being tested for, or that you think is, important for English language skill, it's like, well, can they do it in their own native language? Can they do it in Japanese first? So if they have a challenge there, or it's not done, how do you expect them to do it in a foreign language? So those are my key things. Anyway, I'm about to get home, and this pretty soon, but this was just a kind of a test run. Hopefully there'll be some more specific topics and themes that I'll get out of this after I listen to it again. But yeah, I've been wanting to do this for a while, so this is the first Language Kitchen podcast. I guess what I hope to do is I ask not only on like ESL or language education in Japan, but for anywhere around the world, have guest teachers from around the world that I've been working with, I've been collaborating with using Skype. Give reviews and tutorials on using software, off smartphones or computers, tablets, that kind of thing. Strategies for parents, because I'm a parent too. I have a 5-year-old daughter, and we're raising her bilingually, and she's pretty even with both languages right now, and it sounds native in each, and Japanese, and a little bit of Vietnamese, but it's a little tough because I'm the sole Vietnamese speaker, and my level is not really that high, and to hear really good language, you have to have a kid who is hearing two people talking. But and also looking from the business perspective, I like to be able to help all small business owners out there that are wanting to do something different and innovative, because the market's really big for that. I mean, or Jukus or English tutorial schools are really, they're not doing anything more than more rote memorization work. And again, that speaks to who are the owners and their educational background, and if most of them are run by teachers who are only in the Japanese system, they're not going to do new techniques because they don't know anything else that's new, or maybe they want to because they've learned American techniques or Western, techniques of education, but don't know how to implement it, so the Japanese students' minds. So, I've got other people in mind, professors, grad students. I just like to approach this from all kinds of angles. If you've got a topic you'd like to talk or discuss about, or you have some questions, feel free to message me ideas for future shows and stuff. But yeah, this is just the first one. I'm just doing this on the commute, so I'm driving at the same time. Helps pass the time, and I hope you have a great police students. And this has been the Language Kitchen podcast. Bye bye.